someone is going from our country to the other country, that is the emigration. So basically they are dispersing from one place to another place. And meta population is basically these immigrants and emigrants. It's a very small number which is interacting occasionally with the main population. And basically we can say immigrants. Okay, because immigrants always they will go out. If we will take the Indian population, then whoever the immigrants goes out from our country. So sometimes, very rarely they are coming in, and their interaction is very less. So that population is called the meta population. Yeah. Any other questions? Sadhana? Okay. So in the last class we learned about Midcan index method, then pyramid, then some what are the three methods to represent the population dynamics? Then survival. Okay. And in the last class we learned about the population growth. Right? If there are no restriction, then population can grow exponentially. Right? So this is what should be the x-axis? Time. Population. Okay, so this is just look like a J7. So if there is no restrictions, okay, so do you think population growth always will be exponential? No. Basically, there are some restrictions from the nature or environment, right? When it will some nature, you can say the restriction is there, then definitely this population growth will be start saturation. Okay, so this looks like a S. Then at some time you can say it may be decreased, right? So we can say this is the lag phase, this is the acceleration phase, and this is the deacceleration phase, right? And this is the saturation phase, right? And this is the decreasing phase, right? So how deacceleration phase occurs? So when the restriction, environmental resistance is imposed, right? So that we can say that suppose in a house only, this house is made for only 10 people, right? So now your family members increase to 12 or 15. What will happen? So basically they have to go out. Okay? So at that point you have to say that this is the maximum people can stay in that house. Okay? So that number is called as the carrying capacity. Okay? Understood what is carrying capacity? Suppose in your area maximum 100 people can live. So for them all the facilities are there. Suppose food, water, everything is there. So if your population increased beyond 800, then definitely more food is needed, more energy is needed, everything is needed, right? So, but 200 people cannot accommodate in that 100 people's facility. So then 100 people should move away, right? So for that region, 100 is the carrying capacity. Okay? So maximum people can accommodate in that system. Okay? So this is the equilibrium phase or carrying capacity. Then what is the difference between carrying capacity, if you are saying carrying capacity is the K, and the total population N? Do you think both are same? Carrying capacity K and the total population N, both are same? No?
That is maximum population that can sustain that ecosystem. K, but population that is N is the present population.
So that is at time T. Okay, at a certain time T. So obviously time N population will be different from the K. Right? So this is the logistic growth equation, we can say, or logistic growth curve. And the logistic growth equation is dN by dt equal to Rn. So what is dN by dt? Slope. Where we can find? Yeah, this from this curve only we have to find. But at what? Because 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5 regions are there. At which region we have to find out dN by dt? Huh? Acceleration phase. Why?
Because in this particular region the conditions are favorable and the population grows very rapidly. Yes. There are no restrictions in this particular phase in acceleration.
Yeah. So whenever for the lag phase, it's a very underestimation.
Yes.
And for a equilibrium, it would be very high. Right? So that in the acceleration phase, only exponential growth region, we have to find out the slope. Right? So that is the dN by dt. Then what is the small r? What do you mean by maximum growth rate? Slope can be found out anywhere. But here this is the maximum yield. Okay, maximum, you can say slope means maximum yield. So in which region the maximum yield would be? Acceleration region. That's why we have calculated here the maximum yield. So this is the growth rate basically. Okay, maximum we want to calculate. Yeah. So what do you mean by R? Maximum growth rate. Because dN by dt is the growth rate of population. Again, R is something growth rate.
When the R is the rate where when the change in population with respect to time is the maximum, or the slope.
Because
is
dN by dt is changing na with
yes,
the time.
Yes, sir.
But what is R? Now I am saying R is constant, morally constant. Approximately you can say R is the constant, small r is the constant. Then how it is different with dN by dt?
dN by dt can be calculated at any point in the curve, but R is the maximum.
No, I am saying R is the constant. And dN by dt, that is the growth rate of the population. At any time you can find out. Right? At any point, at any time. But R is, I am saying, more or less constant. Huh? Sorry? No.
Then it will be the slope of the exponential growth phase.
No. So actually this R, small r is the intrinsic growth rate. So intrinsic growth rate means suppose number of offsprings are generating per individual or pair. Right? Per pair you can say. So at t equal to 0 or whatever, at this time suppose R is the 5. Okay. Suppose you can say 20-30 years before, so one pair producing around 5 offsprings. Okay? And now, suppose you are saying after t equal to something. Okay? So maybe it is 3 or maybe it is 1. Okay? But you have to take that average. So as I said, R, small r is the intrinsic growth rate. So that means we are saying That is the maximum capacity, but that is the different way. At time t equal to r is 5, r is equal to 1. Okay, that is a different thing. But if you say capability or maximum growth rate, what can be? Then we can take average at different time periods. Then this would be fixed. Suppose at this t equal to 0. So at t equal to 0, maybe r equal to 5. But after some time it would be 3. Right? And after some time it would be 1. Is it possible? Huh? Possible, na? Because number of offsprings will be more and more, then avalanche will be happening. Right? So rate is here only one pair is producing 5 kids or offsprings. At this stage, R means one pair is producing 3 offsprings. But at this stage, population number is much more. So that's why exponentially population is increasing. Right? So that we can say at a period, suppose this is, we can say R naught. This is known. At t equal to 0, this is known, right? But we don't know what should be the next time phase. So we have to predict. Basically, we have to calculate the probability. What should be the R? Okay? And this would be around fixed, approximately plus or minus something like that. Okay? So this is the intrinsic growth rate. So intrinsic growth rate means number of offsprings can be produced per pair. Okay? So it may be vary with time, but we have to take an average. It's a constant. Okay? Understood what is intrinsic growth rate? Yes or no? Huh? Yeah. Intrinsic growth rate, basically we are saying that obviously for production of offsprings, male and female is equal. So per pair, we are saying one male, one female is per pair, one pair, right? So at t equal to 0, suppose at this time we are saying that suppose r equal to 5. So one pair produces 5 offsprings, right? So this is known at t equal to 0. If we are taking t equal to 0 this time, we know that, right? So what is the intrinsic growth rate? So for the after 2 years or after 10 years, what it would be we don't know. So we have to predict it, or basically we have to calculate the probability, right? And we are saying it is more or lessly constant. So maybe this time it is 5, after 50 years it may be 1, or after 100 years it may be 0.5. Okay, but for a certain period of time it is constant. Okay, so basically intrinsic growth rate is number of offsprings produced per pair.
DNA is constantly changing, while
Yes.
R is changing over a period of
Yes. So that's why we are saying this change also for R is very minimal. So we can take average value of that for all cases of the.
So is it like the R is average of DN by DT?
Not dn by dt. Dn by dt is completely different.
But it's also the growth rate.
Yeah, growth rate at any time t.
And then T. But if we have to calculate for time T equal to 5, so how are we able to actually find R for
We will find.
that?
Next we will find. But dn by dt is the growth rate at any time t. Right? It will be changed with time. Right? But intrinsic growth rate, we are saying approximately constant for all the time periods. So this is only the number of offsprings produced, basically the rate, production rate. per individual pair.
You are saying R is constant for constant time period.
For a particular interval of time, it is constant.
Particular interval.
हाँ.
That means R is equal to 1 for particular interval time. And then
Okay, suppose I am saying for this time period r equal to 5. For this time period r equal to 3. Maybe for that equilibrium phase r equal to 1. Okay?
Sir, it's not necessary that R will be equal to 1. It can also be 3, right?
It can be
3.
sorry.
Of course,
It
any
can be 3
number.
also. Like for different intervals.
Everything. It can be 3 also. Whatever. I am just saying. Okay? But whole time period, this is only the individuals. Suppose you can say that for Indian human population. So maybe 10 years before or 20 years before. So every parent has 5 or 6 kids. So now, so mostly government says the population control. So 1 or maximum 2. Right? Maybe this growth rate decreased after 20 years. So it may be 0.5 or 1, whatever. But from t equal to 0, from this time period to the next 20-30 years, we can take the average. Okay. Every pair can produce, at this time also they can produce 5, at that time also they can produce 5. But it is a natural, you can say the environmental resistance or whatever, the number is slightly changing. But on average we can take it. Okay, so that's why for whole time period R is, we are taking constant. Average.
how will we represent R on this graph?
R and
How will we represent R on this graph?
growth rate means at any time period. For this time period, R means simply how many offsprings are produced by a pair.
I understand.
Huh.
But like, how will we represent R on the graph?
We don't know. We can't find out exactly. So some probabilistically we can calculate. Okay? So next I can show. Understood?
Yes, sir.
And K is the carrying capacity, already you know.
Yes, sir.
Right? Yes, everybody, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Which it? What is carrying capacity?
So the maximum
Maximum
population that can be accumulated.
sustained. Right? So that is the carrying capacity. Then N is the number of population at time. Okay. So this 1 minus N by K. So basically we are saying that dN by dt, obviously it will depend upon the intrinsic.
One more time. So at every different interval, R can be different, but we are averaging those data at different intervals. Like for an
It
instant
may be
R-
same also, it may be different also, but we are taking average.
Oh.
So maximum we can say that what should be the maximum slope, that is the intrinsic growth rate into number of population at that time. Right? Then what is done? 1 minus N by K. This is nothing else the resistance, environmental resistance. Okay? So due to this factor, so deceleration phase starts and it will go to the equilibrium phase. Okay? So how, or basically you can say that what are the factors restricting the exponential growth? Can you say what are the factors? Food, diseases. So there are different kind of, but mostly you can say the important thing is food and space. Right? So first is RK strategy. So how R and K strategy will affect the population? So this graph, na? Yes, sir. This three graphs basically, which can be R, which can be K. Now tell me in this graph. Second is K. Third is R. First is also okay. So now tell me, Ritu, tell me why you told first and second are K.
So they are not why we putting the K for the first one.
Okay, tell for the second one.
So K are basically those organisms which are larger in size and which produce lesser number of offspring that have a larger environmental risk.
Okay, what did you told?
Said that they are larger animals, so they will not vary. They will constantly decrease with time. Proportionality.
Okay, who told R? Third is the R. You told. Okay, how?
So the R strategic organisms are those which are relatively smaller in size, produce larger number of offspring, and their environmental resistance is very low compared to
Very low or very high? Low? Everybody understood? No, no? Okay. Tell me how you just basically we are just comparing R and K with these three graphs. K means carrying capacity. So carrying capacity means maximum population. So that can be sustained in that environment. Right? So now according to this graph, maximum population is sustained in this graph up to this period. Yes. But after that, whenever the environmental resistance approaches, so they are not getting or taking advantages what already they have got. Right? So that means according to the K, they will be decreased. Population will be decreased. So that's why we are saying the second curve is the K. And for the first curve, it's similarly because population is decreasing with the time. So that means it does not affect whatever the facilities are there or not. Okay? So that means always when K means, you just think about K means environmental resistance imposed, then from that population will be constant in equilibrium or it may be decreased. Okay? So just like this curve. Right? Then what about this curve? Initially it was decreased, then constant. Means basically mortality rate in the first decrease is very high and here it's slow. How? How can you relate with R?
Higher the environmental restrictions, because of the higher environmental restrictions, the population cannot sustain. And that's why wherever there is a huge fall in the number of organisms or individuals in that particular age group or particular time.
Okay. So basically this curve, survivorship curve,
When it
told
reaches-
us, says that in the early days there was no facilities. So younger mortality rate was very high. So after some time, so they are adapting the system and now they are stabilized.
Maybe there may be case that for that particular there is a number which can sustain,
Yeah.
which it will allow, the system will allow that this particular number can only sustain in this.
Yes.
When it attains, the rate becomes high.
So basically, well, after some time, so they are adapting the systems, the environment's resistance, and from there mortality rate is decreased. So basically, you can say number of population is increased. So that means the number of this increasing growth rate. Okay. So in that cases may be slightly increased. Okay. So comparison to the younger period. So simply we are saying that R means yes.
Can you explain the first part again?
First curve. Here just check it the S. Just check it the S curve. Carrying capacity means this means whenever the environmental resistance imposed, then definitely it will be equilibrium phase. And also after some time it may be decreased also. Okay? So this one. So that means an environmental resistance is always imposed there. So basically you can say much more, and you can say that they are not taking the advantages. So that's why we are saying carrying capacity at that stage. Carrying capacity means always environmental resistance is imposed, population will be in equilibrium phase or decreased. So that's why first and second curve we are saying K type. Okay, and this third type is simply they after some time, so they are adapting the system and then their number is increased. So that's why we are saying the number of maybe R type, because increasing growth rate is maybe same or maybe increased or maybe decreased, but that does not matter. Matter is growth rate is constant in that case, but they are adapting the system. That's why their mortality rate is the, you can say very slow.
Means first and second gap, there is no chance of increment further. That is why it is
K. Understood everybody? Huh? Any doubt? Okay. So next is space. So how density and mass is obviously, as I said, in a house, if 10 people is made for only 10 people, more than that they can stay. Na? So how mass and density, you can say that how vary. Suppose this is density, this is mass. So there are suppose two seedlings. So they are getting same atmospheric conditions, right? So after some time, so this may be die and this may be increased and this is right. So this is died. So what is happening? So number density is decreased and mass is increased. Then what should be the slope here? The slope basically this type, negative. So on average, this slope is minus 3/2. Okay, so even if two seedlings or two organisms are getting the same atmospheric conditions, but still there are variations. And this slope is around, you can say, proportional to minus 3/2. On average, this slope is on average for different kind of species. Okay, so have you seen that two plants? So they have grown together, but after some time one may be died and another may be increased. Yeah, this is the similar cases. Okay, how mass and density is. So this is minus 3/2. Then obviously food and water. Then territories. What do you mean by territories?
Space, their own habitat.
Yeah. Suppose if some deers are living in the tiger's territory, obviously their number will be decreased. Right? Then herbivores and predators. Obviously we have to escape from the predators and catch. Means fittest enough to catch your prey for the survival. Then weather and climate, how it will affect?
If the weather and climate are favorable, suitable for the organism, the population will grow.
Yes. So, do you know if you will go to Finland or some other countries, they will give you a house and a job? So because their population is very less.
In European countries.
Then parasites and disease. Then natural disasters, just like earthquakes, tsunamis. Then the self-regulation and stress. So what do you mean by self-regulation and stress, and how it will impact the population? Huh?
So self-regulation is
Their
a
population will increase
Sorry.
and
Okay, just listen to her.
in particular ecosystem, let's suppose their population increase and
Self-regulation and stress. How they will get stress?
So if the food and the essential things that are required for the growth are provided easily, with not that much hardness, means it will be available easily, and the stress level will be low and the growth will be high, the population growth.
So that is for the animals only, for the food.
Similar goes for other beings also. There will be friction amongst them only for the survivorship in order to survive.
Definitely, for all food is required.
So climate change is putting stress on plants.
Maybe. Because already you know, na, you are living in that condition and your climate is, you know very well. Then you have to stay there. Otherwise you can sit. Then how stress?
carbon dioxide production.
Huh?
Carbon dioxide production.
How it will make stress?
To certain limit, it is used for photosynthesis.
So stress means basically it's the mental stress only. Okay. So maybe due to mental stress many people die. Or maybe suicide. है ना? So maximum suicide cases is mainly due to the stress. So how you have to self-regulate?
So is there stress in the animal kingdom also?
Maybe, but we don't know.
Then
Okay? So that's why we, for animal kingdom we don't know, maybe for the human beings it may be applied. So these are very few parameters which can regulate the population growth. So basically these are the environmental resistance. Okay? Yeah, so this is the similar kind of.
Explain the second part first. That is space. How space.
Space means basically in a density and the mass. Okay, so suppose in this area you are getting basically space means that second point, na? Mass and density. So in a same area, geographical area, basically you are saying that these two seedlings are getting the same kind of atmospheric conditions. But even if due to some other parameters, so one may be growth and another may be decay. Okay, so that's why in those cases mass and density will be with time period. And it will be negative slope for these cases. And on average for different kind of species, this slope is -3/2.
There is some term minus 3 by 2 power. But
This is the power law only, slope. From this slope we have calculated -3/2. Okay? Okay. So now, suppose this is the from the logistic growth equation already. We know about this equation, right? This is the R, increasing growth rate. We have to calculate, right? And R naught at t equal to 0. What is the increasing growth rate? So that we know, right? So simply we can say this is already known. Then how can we find out this R? Right? So from this you can, this is a very straightforward equation. So from this at t equal to 0, what will happen? How n and k will vary? At t equal to 0. So at t equal to 0, this is the t equal to 0. So obviously n is the population much less than the carrying capacity k. Then what will happen to this environmental resistance term? So n by k is approximately 0. Okay, so then that term is neglected, right? Then simply we can say that dn by dt equal to t equal to 0, r naught n naught. N naught is the population at t equal to 0. So both n naught and r naught are known. Okay, because we know that at this point, at this stage, right? Then similarly, if you want to count out the small r, then in that equation you can put this equation, right? Then you can equate these terms, then you can find simply r equal to r naught divided by 1 by n. So this is a probability, and obviously it will depend upon the n, sorry, k, right? So in this way we can find out r here. R is a variable factor or it is a constant factor? Constant, because all other terms are constant, right? So that's why we are saying, so throughout this S curve, maybe small r is will be vary within the certain time period, but we can take average of that. That's why I told earlier we can take r is a constant or average value of all the times. Okay. So this is simply a prediction, but by this way we can say that this is the exact value. But obviously this is a prediction for the time period, overall time period.
Sir, R is taken average up to the point when maximum carrying capacity is reached. Up to the time. R is taken average up to the time when carrying capacity is reached.
Yeah. KD time.
A is known actually. A is known, carrying capacity is known.
Carrying capacity is known. Suppose I was saying, suppose this classroom is made for 60 students. So that is the carrying capacity. Okay? So if 80 students will sit, obviously it will not happen. Very first point of view, we know the carrying capacity. Or simply just house, how many people are living. So this house is made for 5 people, if you are saying 8, then how it is possible? No. So we know that carrying capacity of this house is high. Okay. Or simply for 100 people, this much food is required. Right? So we can say that already the carrying capacity is this. So if population will be increased, so the rest amount of population cannot survive without food. Okay? So carrying capacity is the maximum sustainable population. Understood? So in this way we can calculate the R.
So this third step, from where this small r has been reduced.
Okay. So simply dn by dt equal to r n, right?
Yes.
1 minus n by k is this is the resistance, environmental resistance. We are saying at t equal to 0. At t equal to 0, n is very small, k is very large. So n is much less than k. So this term will be 0. So simply we can say at t equal to 0, right? Then r is known, that is r naught, and n is known also, that is n naught, and this term is neglected, right? So this is known factor. If we want to calculate, this is at the presence of only at this t equal to 0. If we want to calculate for a longer time period, then how can we calculate? So simply dn by dt, also at t equal to 0 we have to calculate. T equal to 0, so we have to just put it r n naught 1 minus n naught divided by k. So simply we can equate these two terms to find out this small. Okay? So this is nothing else on just a prediction. Any doubts? So then, maximum sustainable yield. What do you mean by yield? Final products. Suppose a population is there, 100 population is there, right? So we want to remove some population at some rate. So what should be that rate so that the population should not be collapsed? What should be that yield? So that we can remove the population with a rate so that that population should not be collapsed. Huh?
Greater than 1 minus n by k.
Greater than?
Environmental resistance.
No, if environmental resistance is always there.
No, greater than.
No, if greater than environmental resistance, then population will be exponentially grow, na?
Equal.
So environmental resistance is always there. So out of that 100 population, we want to remove some population so that this population should not be collapsed. Okay? So that is the maximum yield. How can we find the maximum yield? So yield is, what is the yield in this equation? Which is the yield? That is nothing else the slope, maximum number. Right? So dn by dt is the yield. Right? So this is a constant value, dn by dt. So derivative of the constant value will give you 0. Calculate. Take derivative of this equation.
With respect to sir, n.
You take it. Take simple derivative with respect to time.
With respect to time, it will be 0 because there is no function of time. It is not.
हाँ तो tell me what is the final value? Yeah. Okay, come. Draw it. Do it.
With respect to
Time.
but it is not a function of time.
हाँ तो divide with your time. You just take derivative of this equation.
With respect to time.
Obviously, we are talking about the rate, na? Talking about rate. At what rate?
So it will be 0 because it is not a function of time. There is no time.
N is a function of time. Parametric.
The right hand side would be 0. Yeah, you come. Do it fast. Time is over. Yeah, do it fast.
Sir, if R is 18,
Even if I told, yeah, come. Yeah. Okay, check it whether he is doing correct or not. What did you do?
we have taken this as a first function and then this whole function as a second function. dr by dt. R is a function of time, then it will be moves.
Then
dr by dt.
obviously the left hand side is 0, na? Derivative of a constant is 0. क्या नाम था ना? Do it. Left hand side is 0, na? Then what should be the right hand side? What about the right hand side? R is constant. Avinasi, Kirti, Archie, Saloni, Nena, Bharti, last 4 classes. Vinayak, Vikas,
Yes, sir.
Ritu, Sudhiraman, Mohit, Mukta, Harshit Rai,
Yes, sir.
Sasank,
Yes, sir.
Abhay,
Yes, sir.
Ankit,
Present, sir.
Anushka, Ayush, Pranjal,
Yes, sir.
Ritik, Aditya,
Yes, sir.
Vishal,
Yes, sir.
Divyanshu,
Yes, sir.
Narendra,
Yes, sir.
Puneet,
Yes, sir.
Sarvesh,
Yes, sir.
Rohit,
Present, sir.
Tushar,
Yes, sir.
Sani,
Present, sir.
Raghunath,
Yes, sir.
Ashwat,
Present, sir.
Saurabh,
Yes, sir.
Manwalal,
Yes, sir.
Shivam, Rasit, Rishabh, Deepika,
Yes, sir.
Khushbu,
Yes, sir.
Aniket, Yashasvi, Dipanjan,
Yes, sir.
Anushka Patel, Shivajit, Prabhakar, Rakshit, na? Shivam, Shailesh, Navan, Mohit Mehta, Divan, Aryan, Jaya, Hamlet,
Present, sir.
हाँ, जाओ.
Sir, I have taken with respect to n, like
This term is zero, na? Yes, derivative of a constant is zero, so zero. Then what will happen?
I will go there. D and by dt will be common.
हाँ. हाँ. Is zero.
Yes.
Then which term can't be zero?
D and by
D and by dt can't be zero. Then which term will be zero?
k is equal to 2s.
हाँ. Right, na?
Yes.
So what does it says? K equal to means suppose n equal to half of k. So that means if we remove from the half of the carrying capacity, then obviously this population will be collapsed. Okay, so we could not remove half of the carrying capacity of a population. If the population is less than the half of the carrying capacity, then definitely this population will be collapsed. Please read these things. Next, I will ask everyone. Okay, the next one read.
Yeah. But I don't have boots right now. I don't have boots right now. Huh? Oh, okay. You don't have? Sorry? October. No, empty. Sorry? I'm good. Okay. No. I'm completing it.
For getting practice, one thing is important, that is first design training, second is another.
Is it okay? Right.
I think that
Okay, please. Write what you are saying. What are you saying? What is NSO is?
you have to start there is an hour for 1 hour, 2 hours per day. Monday to Thursday. Basically, you have to spend time on
Extracurricular activities. Okay. Oh, it's compulsory for you guys? Like, is it compulsory for you? For BTech students?
but I don't know that.
No, BTech, no. BTech, no. Yeah, no, this is not there. N is what? N is what? Okay, sports. No. So for BTech, oh, I understand now. So sports was compulsory in my BTech during BTech time. I had it 2 times a week.
I will explain you. Please come out. I will explain you.
No. Okay, but I have friends who are playing. So the thing is this. For MTech, that NSO not compulsory.
But we are electric
Interest? Oh yeah, yes.
So you play football without you.
Okay,
Why I'm asking this? Every year, you are
First year MTech student, yes.
So every year there is a general championship of sport.
Okay.
In which every sport participates in the general championship for every sport. So if in football, any sport, if you go semi-final, you will get 40 hours freely. If your team goes to semi-final.
Oh.
So you don't need to go for 20 days to get 40 hours.
Okay.
You will get.
I get your point. But for MTech, it's not compulsory. But in my BTech, because I was like DTU, you know DTU?
Yes, BTech from DTU.
Yes. So DTU, we used to have sports. Sports one, compulsory subject, as an elective, compulsory. So we used to go 2 times a week, 2 hours, 4 hours a week. Yeah. So that's the one I was talking about. In this institute, 1 hour is equivalent to 2 hours for an hour. You will spend 1 hour, you will get 2 hours. More than 2 hours, even you get 2 hours. But after 7 p.m., you will not get entry. That's God. If you submit your card after 7 o'clock, they will not mark your attendance. Okay. From 6 to 8, when 6 to 7, whenever you submit the card, you will get 2 hours. Yeah. It's the policy.